Hi everyone, I've got another junk journal I wanted to show you. This one is a large 10 by 13 envelope cover with a duct tape spine. So I've got 4 signatures on here, and you'll notice if you look up close here that 2 of the signatures are closer to the front and 2 are closer to the back. And I did that so that I would have a larger gap in the middle here to be able to punch a hole and put a elastic through so that I could have this kind of closure. That's just the closure type that I wanted on this one, so that's what I did to accommodate that. Up top here I used one of those picture frame hanger metals with a brad that I punched through the spine. So that way I was able to tie up all my crinkly seam binding like that. Oh, and I also looped a fabric covered button to my elastic. So this is a image from Miss Lady Faye, and Miss Lady Faye is actually 30% off right now on my website because this is the collection that my creative team's going to be working with for July. So I thought it would be fun to print some off and play with that. So to reinforce my envelope, because they are thin, I added a little bit of, or a piece of patterned cardstock first, and then I layered it with the image on top of that. And my image is printed on my laser printer, but on a thicker 60-pound paper. So now my covers are nice and sturdy. And then I have some pink daisy lace here and on the back. So I have 4 signatures with 6 pages in each, and all I used was pattern paper. I have a lot of this pattern paper left from this stack, so I wanted to use some of that up. And I didn't do any coffee staining, and I left a lot of white space for journaling. I have someone in mind for this one, and I think she would appreciate having lots of journaling space, so I left a lot of that. And I made side tuck pockets and added journaling cards left over, just scraps of paper from other projects. I added doilies here and there and some butterflies with a little bling. This is a glassine bag that I printed, and I will show you how I do that in a minute. And some washi tape here and there. Some more journaling paper. And this is a security envelope, and I deconstructed it first. I sewed it in, and so the signature tie-off is on the inside of my envelope. And I'll just flip through the journal first, and then I'll show you how I print on these. So it's another bag I printed on. A little tuck spot. Some more journaling. And then I embellished a few paper clips. I just did some little banners and a butterfly and some fun fur. Another glassine bag. Some more journaling spots. Another security envelope, and it's actually still open so you can use it. And if you look inside there, I don't know if you can see it, but my signature string is tied off in there. This is the knot for the elastic closure. This is from Queen Bee. I have all kinds of printed stuff left over. Another envelope. So it's just a very simple journal, but it will be great for journaling or making lists. I just wanted to use some of the stuff that I have in my stash because I do a lot of printing just to test my digis, and then I'm left with lots of extras, and I like to use them up. Okay, so now to show you how I printed on the envelopes. So the first thing I do with my envelopes is I trim off about 1/8 of an inch on either side, and that's just my first cut. If I end up wanting to use these in smaller journals that are shorter, then I'm going to trim it accordingly. But the first cut I do is at about 1/8 of an inch on either side. And then when I flip it over, I have that V-shaped edge here, right? Well, I usually trim that off so that I have a width here from the point here to here of about 8 1/4 inches this way. And the reason I cut down to that is because I'm going to attach this to a sheet before putting it in my printer. So my sheets are 8.5 by 11, so I cut this down to 8 1/4. And what I do is I don't tape. Now I've seen a couple of videos, and one of them is by Wendy Roberts, and I'll include the link. And I think she uses tape. She tapes down her glassine bags. But what I like to use is the 505 temporary fabric adhesive. So I just spray my sheet lightly, give it like a little bit of a tackiness to it, and then I place my envelope or glassine bags or paper bags down, and I flatten like that. And I try to place it on the sheet wherever I think my image, depending on the image I'm using, wherever I think the image is just going to look best on the envelope for now. And I worry about trimming that down later. So that's what I use. So I run that through my printer, and you know, you have to make sure that these, especially the bottom where the page is going to be fed into your printer, you don't want any little parts lifting. So you want to make sure that your envelope or glassine bags are down nice and flat. So when it comes out, I wait. I give it a few minutes to let the ink dry. And there's also printing on the little window. And I've found that even waiting, like I've waited on some of these overnight, and even the next day the ink hasn't dried on the windows. So what I end up doing is I actually wipe away the ink from the windows. Now when I tear the envelopes away from the paper, sometimes I'm left with some tacky residue on whatever I was printing on. It hasn't happened on the security envelopes, and I'm not too sure why, but it certainly does happen on the glassine bags. But I use talcum powder or cornstarch on a rag, and I just wipe away the residue, and that seems to work perfectly. I'm left with no sticky residue on my glassine bags. So I'll just show you a couple of these that I made. Here's another envelope. And another one here. And these are from the Victorian Romance kit, which is a garden club journal kit. And then I've got some glassine bags. This is a Love is Chic image. This is a paper bag with the lines, the notebook lines, and I printed on that and it turned out pretty nice. So this is a paper bag and this is a glassine bag, and these are also Victorian Romance. Some more Victorian Romance here, and I actually tried out on the craft colored paper bags, and that looks pretty nice. Some more, then a paper bag, and then I also have these craft colored top opening envelopes, and they have a window, and whatever finish this is, the ink has actually dried on there, so that looks pretty cool. I also have this one. So these will be great to make pockets or tuck spots in journals. And then I also actually tried on a time card, and I've done on library cards and flashcards, so it worked out pretty good. So those are the tips I wanted to show you, and the journal. If you have any questions at all, let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye.